I'll be offended.
You cry.
I'm actually really excited about today's episode.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I've got like...
Oh, you've got some stuff lined up?
No, well, have you got stuff lined up?
Well, for once I was hoping to talk about something, but...
Yeah, okay. Well, my thing is like a quick segment.
Okay.
But let's just get going. Hi there, welcome to Director's Debrief, episode 27.
27.
27, man.
That's the one.
Yeah. How you been, dude?
Yeah, not bad. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Speaking of 27, not long for you.
Not long for me, dude. My alopecia's coming back.
Okay.
I don't know if you... So this is getting thinner. This is like a random patch.
I don't see it, if I'm honest. Yeah.
Well, you lied to me because you said you couldn't see me thinning up here, and I'm definitely... Have a look at this camera. You be the judge.
Have a look here.
Ram, put this on a reel.
That's not thinning in my eyes.
Put this on a reel.
There's potential receding hairline.
And
but
man.
no thinning.
That's a problem.
No thinning.
Yeah, I'm not saying my hair is a big part of my appeal. I clearly don't look after it a lot, but it's a big deal.
No, it's looking tidy.
But yeah, that's how I'm doing.
Cool.
I'm getting old.
Yeah.
Real faster than the age of my number.
Okay, good.
But I'm excited because you said you have something you want to talk about.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Things.
Before we get onto that, we didn't do a review last time. So
we didn't.
Do you have something to review? If not, I have another segment to replace it with.
Let's go.
Okay. It's a try not to laugh challenge.
Okay.
This idea was given to me by Satwick.
Okay.
And basically, it's...
Did he say to do this for the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he said to do a variation of this, and I'm going to read you a...
Smart guy, Satwick.
Very smart guy. Try not to laugh at these Amazon reviews, right? Okay. We're in Amazon, we see reviews all the time.
Okay.
And this is one potentially. Don't laugh because I might get you one of these because you're an engaged man, so this might save your relationship.
Okay.
The product name's in there. What can I say about the 571B banana slicer that hasn't already been said about the wheel, penicillin, or the iPhone? This is one of the greatest inventions of all time. My husband and I would argue constantly over who had to cut the day's banana slices. It's one of those chores that nobody wants to do. You know, the old, I spent the whole day rearing our children. Maybe you could pitch in a little and cut these bananas. And of course, you think the response would be, you think I have the energy to slave over these damn bananas? I've worked a 12-hour shift just to come home to this? These are the things that can destroy an entire relationship. It got to the point where our children could sense the tension. The minute I heard our 6-year-old in her bedroom reenacting our daily banana fight with her Barbie dolls, I knew we had to make a change. And that's when I found this 571B banana slicer. Our marriage has never been healthier, and we've even incorporated it into our lovemaking. Thanks, 571 banana slicer.
Okay, instantly I was thinking, is this the brand actually writing its own product review? But the creativity there was unbelievable.
Too much.
Yeah.
And this was I
love that.
5 stars saved my marriage, and it's a
People
banana
are
slicer.
hilarious.
571B banana slicer. Get your own. Amazon.com.
A lot of that was your reading of that as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
But that. So I think we'll dig up a few funny ones.
I like that.
Maybe we'll discuss some.
Yeah.
But that one really, really tickled me.
Okay.
So if you're ever having relationship or marital issues, just know I think the biggest cause could potentially be. Do you eat a lot of bananas?
No.
Gotta get that potassium.
I do like bananas a lot, but it's not something I regularly eat.
Okay.
And I think the part of that is because I have to slice it myself.
Yeah.
So.
Mate.
Was it
571?
571 banana slicer.
Yeah.
Boom. That's the one.
The key to all of your troubles.
Do we know where that was? Amazon?
I actually don't.
We'll assume that's America. Probably like Florida or something.
Yeah.
Florida. Yeah.
Banana saves marriage. Yeah. Florida headline.
They're built differently there. But cool. All right.
Yeah. How you want to talk about some stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get it straight into the depressive stuff, but just generally, I think what I'm realizing is we go through a lot of journeys here at WP.
Yeah,
a lot of the business journeys, things like that. But we also go through a bit of the personal journey. And entrepreneurship, it's not that entrepreneurship is harder than any other job. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's more testing than any other job. But I think in a very short period of time, you get tested a lot and you have a lot of lessons.
I would disagree. Are you being humble here? Because it's hard to say it from a position of an entrepreneur, right? Because it just seems like you're being
All right. Okay. So.
But I do think it's.
Okay. Let's put it in this perspective. What do we do on a daily basis, and where are we? We're sat behind a computer, right? Yeah. So can we really say our work is harder than someone who puts in a graft on a farm? The physical, intensive work there. I struggle to come to that conclusion. I don't know.
Fair play.
Yeah. Okay. Mentally, you can question that, but physically, we are behind. We have a privilege.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Here's the differentiating factor, and I hate that the farmer destroys my analogy, but it's the case of I genuinely believe that out of our team, you and I probably do the least quantity of actual work.
Yeah.
However, we bear the most responsibility, and that's what starts to impact other things.
Sure.
So I don't feel right saying like I work harder than anybody else. That's absolutely not true. The team upstairs are killing it, but the responsibility bears heaviest on our shoulders.
Absolutely.
That's the distinctive factor. And I think that you don't get that as in if you get to clock out at 5 and not think about anything whatsoever. That's an easier position to be in. From certain perspectives.
Sure.
You're right. I think we have to be careful how we phrase this. But I'll let you continue with your point.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay. No. So that was kind of the approach I was going through. That, look, let's just put aside that we, as entrepreneurs or what we do, business owners, directors, it's not that our work is harder. Okay. Let's take the harder thing out of it. It's not tougher. It's not harder. We have a privilege. We do what we do because we chose to do what we do.
Fair play.
But what I feel is within a very short period of time, we have an enormous amount of lessons. And that comes down to entrepreneurship being so varied and so diverse in what you do. I don't come into work and I'm just, I say just, I mean it in a way of, I don't know exactly what I'm going to have to do that day. I try and keep a list. You've seen me keep a list, a bit of a schedule, but things fly in from left, right and center. We go through it. Yeah. And you do get that in a general 9-to-5 job, of course. It's not completely one task and one task only, but you do have some sort of structure. And you hear a lot of millennials and zillennials talking about, I want structure to my job and so on.
I'm sorry, is zillennials a word?
Yeah, I feel like I just made it up. I didn't make it up, did I, Ram?
Zillennial.
Why is he laughing?
Is that a thing?
Okay, I feel I'm potentially a zillennial.
Do you? Why?
No.
Like Gen Z?
Those that are on the cusp of it. We're not.
Yeah.
Mainly because of our siblings.
Yeah. Okay.
So our siblings are older than us.
They've dragged us
out.
Out.
They've dragged us into like a millennial stuff. Yeah. Wow, I've really taken it. Urban Dictionary is going to have it tonight.
Trademark that.
Yeah. But what a zillennial essentially is could be someone of our age, so about the 95, 96 time. Giving away so much of
I know.
How young or how old we are, I don't know.
Dude, I gave away my address in the last episode.
That Russian guy's there. But yeah, so just to clarify the zillennial thing for Ram, essentially it's anyone like veering into the the Gen Z era, but with a hint of millennial.
Okay.
So it's the people that are working established careers at the moment. They're not just come straight out of uni.
Yeah.
They're in there. Anyway, lost my trail of thought, of course. But where I was going with that is that, a lot of people are asking for structure and kind of that. Whereas in entrepreneurship, there's no one I can ask for structure from. If anything, that's the complete opposite of what you want, because you want your finger in a lot of different pies, right? You want to be expanding things.
Yeah.
So that could be
to think.
Exactly, the creativity. So I don't know. I've seen you jump. You've been going from HR to kind of accounts to working with a client in Australia. There's so much differences. Learning French, of course, we want to throw on our clients. The diversity. I'm not giving you justice there. I've not done you justice. But the idea is there's so much diversity in what we do. But that also means diversity in the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Right. And how many days have you gone where you have come in feeling good, feeling on top of the world, and then a set of emails, this happened to me the other day, I told you about that, a set of emails, about 2 or 3, completely drops my mood, and I'm just like you'll see my straight face. I think you asked me a question, I'm just like typing away on my laptop with a completely bland face.
Yeah. And
the thought process there is like, you're going to get this diversity. And again, kind of a disclaimer there, it happens to everyone in their jobs, but it does happen to us a lot more. A container's stuck, X, Y, Z, and so on. But then the good news is that can easily be pulled back again. And you go through some good stuff again during the day, some good news, something else can happen. So essentially what I'm saying here is talking about the lessons that can happen in such a short period of time, and how some may look at us and say, oh, you're only 27, you're so young, you've got so much to learn. But I do feel that in such a short period of time, we've had so many lessons. And that's been interesting.
Do you know what? This ties in perfectly into a funny thought I had recently, where I was at the way you interact with your family has kind of inspired me to spend some more time with my family.
All right.
I already spent and invested a lot of time into my family. I was never distant from them, but I've seen you, and you'll remove your credit from this, I know, but you put in a lot more effort than I felt I did, and I was like, I see how rewarding that can be at times. I can see how punishing it can be at times, but it's also often very rewarding. And it's funny because I was at like a Father's Day get together that we put together for my granddad and all the fathers in the family, and I was stood there as like so many waves of my family came in. There was so many people there, and I was stood there and I was looking around and I was like, I've been in scenarios, you and I have both been in scenarios where we're in a room with like 50 to 100 entrepreneurs, business people, serious folk, and I genuinely, I was like, in my head, I think because I was looking and I was like, it's weird that I find this room harder to navigate than that room.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind being in a room full of 50 to 100 suits that I've never met before, and I could just go in and start conversation.
Yeah.
But like with my family, it was like, I can do the same thing, but there's like certain like cultural things that almost need practice. There's like, what do you say in certain events? I'm terrible at funerals. Okay. I have to go to my mum every time. I'm like, Mum, what do I say to these? Like, what is the proper Arabic thing to say in a scenario like this?
Sorry, has anyone ever gone to a funeral and said, I'm so good at funerals? Like,
I know
exactly what to do.
No. I mean, as in like, I can say I'm sorry for your loss, but there's like a proper thing to say. There's a proper statement with like almost religious connotations that is the right and proper thing to say. Yeah. So I always have to like listen out. And the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because I think we've been exposed to a lot of those like types of lessons, and I don't think I've been exposed to enough like family related types of lessons. That's why I think that's what's motivated me now to put in more effort in my family, because I've realized certain lessons from our journey is really valuable. And I think we're exposed to it more than others, I would argue. For example, rejection. Yep. How are you with rejection?
Better.
Right? Like, since I've been here and since I've had to reach out to prospective clients, I've dealt with a lot of rejection. Yeah. I worked in a PPI call center too. So it was 120 times a day somebody was telling me, like, where'd you get my number? And like, beep, off.
That really does turn you into something, right?
It does, yeah. Yeah. But I think it's thickened our skin, and I'm like, I can see the lessons being learned there. And that's why I'm like, I need to spend more time with my family, because there are cultural lessons that I think I'm lacking behind on a little bit that I need to sort of pick up on.
Yeah. Do you think, not to bring it all back to entrepreneurship or business or things like that.
That's what this podcast's about.
Yeah, but we got it. Do you think I used to have an attitude. I don't think.
Yeah, you got to remember your point, but we had a quick intermission. Ram messed up big time. If you're looking for an apprenticeship, apply to us.
Can we just put... Sorry, one thing. Hi, J-Dev. 6. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Cheers, mate. Bye. All right, so yeah, quick intermission. A lot of intermissions, but we're good to go.
Just invited me to a party at 6, unloading containers.
Unloading containers, 10 pallets.
What was that about? Entrepreneurs have it easy?
Yeah. 6 falls between 9 to 5, right?
Yeah,
somewhere
absolutely.
in between. Yeah, so never stops. But so what I was suggesting there is, again, not to draw it all back to entrepreneurship and that. Someone's going to roll their eyes at that, like, oh, it's not all about that. Yeah. Family time doesn't really overlap too much with this, although we say we're a family. That there are separate things. What you did say there is you took the idea that I'm not as cultured or family cultured as I'd like to be. Yeah. Sorry if I've said that in the wrong way.
No, that's
not as family cultured as I'd like to be, but I think I can get there.
Yeah, sure. Why
Yeah.
not?
And that mentality can be drawn from a lot of things, but I definitely think that's an entrepreneurship mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying someone who runs a business. It's entrepreneurs are everywhere. You know, they're within businesses. They are, you know, they're employed by people. It's a mentality.
Yeah.
And it's that idea that, look, I'm not a skill set, but if I put myself in a certain situation for long enough, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to get there. And that's essentially what you said in your family situation. So yeah, veering onto the entrepreneurship a bit too much, but I was trying to draw a comparison. What do you think there?
Yeah, man. I don't think there is anything that anybody can't figure out. In like certain things aside, obviously, if you don't have access to the internet, you can't really learn what's on the internet.
Yeah.
But there is this divide. We've talked about it on the podcast before. We've talked about it with Ollie of people's belief in like neuroplasticity, whether you're able to grow past a certain point.
Yeah.
Whether you believe your core beliefs and stuff are fixed at a certain age and they just carry on.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you believe you are a certain way or that you're a certain way for now.
Sure.
Is a hugely different thing, and I think that can, that can be. I'm scared to get into this because Joe Rogan got into a lot of trouble.
Okay.
But I think he was talking to maybe Jordan Peterson's daughter about this, where he was saying, she said, due to depression, he couldn't drag himself out of bed. And he got heated where he's like, no, he could have dragged himself into a workout. He could have done that. He chose not to. And that, I think, shows the difference in mentality between him and her. Leave that character out of it for now. The other person who's suffering from depression. It's just between these two individuals, between Jordan Peterson's daughter, I forget her name, and Joe Rogan.
I think Michaela or something like that. Yeah.
That's the one, Michaela Peterson and Joe Rogan, right? And just their approach to it of somebody said couldn't or somebody said didn't. And I'm not, again, I want to distance myself away from the mental health concern as far as possible because that's something I don't have enough knowledge on.
Yeah.
But there is this thing of like, do you believe you can grow? Do you believe you can change? And most recently, I've been doing a lot of work on like Google Data Studio.
Yeah.
And I've been learning how that kind of works. And I need to know it just enough to direct the people who are responsible for it. I don't really need to become a master of it. But it was really interesting. I had this thought. I thought back to when I had an interview at this blinds company.
Right.
To be a PPC manager for their Google ads. Literally a week or two before I interviewed here.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I called them up for some feedback and they rejected me on the basis that I spoke too much about the creative. They said I spoke too much about the video, the photography, and it seems like I didn't care enough about the numbers behind it.
The analytics.
Yeah, when they called me, I was like, I'm a numbers guy, but fair play. Right now I am looking for something a lot more creative, with a lot more creative freedom. But there was also this feeling that I couldn't get it. Like Google Ads and Google Analytics as platforms just seem so crazy. I've seen them before. Yeah. I just didn't think I could even loosely grasp them. And now I'm looking at it and I'm working on Google Ads with another client. And I'm like, if you ask me questions about this, I could probably answer them. Yeah. That to me is crazy. Because at one point, I looked at this and I went, I understand why there's a degree around this. I understand why you need an undergraduates to do this. But now here I am, no undergraduates. I'm like, you can ask me certain things about Google Analytics and stuff. And I think it's important to recognize that.
It's interesting. So you talk about how when you interview for that job and you were going for that, they didn't necessarily see that analytical mind in you. Yeah. Whereas now it seems in my eyes, that's really a huge strength of yours. That's coming out, that you appreciate the importance of it. I mean, I've seen you talk to clients about the analytical side, performance-based marketing and so on.
Yes.
What's interesting for me, really veering slightly off, is the way you could, because you're obviously all of this set up with Ram, what you've been teaching him, you're a very creative person. Obviously, back in the early days when you were on the Indian Mart side as well, all the photography, videos and so on. What's interesting for me is how you can, over time, combine those two worlds together. Okay. Is that something you've thought about? Are you currently doing?
I thought about constantly, but I don't see it like that. I don't see as creative and analytical and mathematical and scientific merging.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I see myself diverting further and further away from the creative.
Okay.
And it's, I don't know, the more I think about it, the more I realize if we go on like this side of things, which is the analytical, mathematical, scientific, they're the ones who like change the world.
Yeah.
Okay. The creatives make it more beautiful. And I think they're equally important in society. There's somebody who made a great joke of like the person who made their money through science or whatever still spends £1,000 on like a designer handbag, which was created by an artist in their own right.
Sure.
So both are equally important. Yeah. Don't think because we're moving into like the metaverse or whatever that software developers are far more important than artists or whatever. That's complete crap.
Yeah, beauty will always have value.
Beauty will always have an immense amount of value. That's like, why would you want to live in a world without beauty?
Yeah.
However, I think for me, I found a lot more fulfillment diverting towards that, and seeing the impact of it. And that's why I'm doing less and less creative stuff. And what that tends to do, and I had the same effect, you're going to laugh, with Huel.
Yeah.
Because I don't snack or whatever, I was drinking Huel, and I realized every week or so I'd have one day where I just craved the living daylight out of sugar. I just want snacks, sweets, and I realized I'd like deprived myself of this. And I have the same thing with like creativity.
Yeah.
I felt like what I was doing on a day-to-day basis was so heavily centered around KPIs, metrics, measurable things, that the creative was getting let down.
Okay.
And so I started to crave it. And last year, I started a daily vlog that lasted about a month before I realized 3-4 hours of sleep isn't enough.
Yeah.
But I started to pick it up with making some reels on my personal stuff. But yeah, I definitely feel like I'm more diverting away from the creative rather than merging them.
Sure. So obviously that craving that happened, did that come out of the idea that you feel you're missing out on that? Or was it just a hunger for it now and then?
Okay, this leads me on to a question I want to ask you, right? Have you ever been in a position where, and this answers your question, where you are comparably skilled at something as somebody else that you know?
Okay, so... Okay, what do you mean by that exactly?
Like if there's a sport, let's say football, you play five-a-side from time to time.
Yeah.
Is there somebody who you know is at roughly the same level as you?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. What would happen if they continue to play five-a-side every single week for about 6 months, and then you went to join them again, and you saw they were playing great? Would that proper get to you?
Completely.
And so I went to uni and I studied media.
Yeah.
And all of my friends, some of which who you have met, are incredibly creative people and are fantastic at what they do. And thanks to social media, I see their work. I see the stuff that they do. And so when I see that, that's what gets me, because I consider myself at one point to be relatively close to them.
Yeah, in terms of knowledge, ability, talent.
Yeah. And I realized these people are so much better at this than me now.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? I was like, they put in the fucking work.
Yeah.
They put in the practice. They turned up and they kept it up. Even though we might not have always had jobs that centered around this, they kept it up on the side and I didn't.
Okay.
And so that's when I saw that. I'm like, look at this skill that I know somebody from a past life that spoke a multitude of different languages, and it constantly bothered her that when she spent time in one country, that when she'd go back to another, that language was affected, and then she'd go back to that country and that language was affected. And I never really felt that with languages. Whenever I go back home, my level of Arabic tends to be the same as when I left it, because I speak Arabic pretty often. But I started to really understand this pain when it came to certain skills, like cinematography, photography, things like that.
Yeah.
You have any examples of where stuff like that?
Completely. I mean, even basic examples like the gym. Because that's measurable, right?
Big health.
And you can see, and you can even see where you are compared to what other people are doing and where you were before, right? So you can literally measure it based on how much you can bench press, based on how much you can squat. And I completely get it. And if anything, I use that as a motivator to stay consistent to things. Yeah. But I also realize, and certainly with yourself, from the opinion that I have of you, you certainly used to a lot more than you do now. You used to get guilty of the free time that you were when you were doing very little, right? Yeah, it was a huge thing where you may be home and you may be watching some TV, which is productive in the way of maybe relaxing you, but you're seeing it as guilt. So from that, what I understood is you actually had very little free time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I saw. And you were constantly, even you were talking about you doing this vlog at the beginning of the year, and you were running a business and all of this stuff, or a side hustle and so on. What I gathered from that is, whilst you may have lost consistency in certain things, you have to make sure you appreciate that you weren't wasting that time. We have a limited amount of time, and wasting is difficult. You may you may need that relaxing time to help you recoup for the work you do during the day. But what you need to be clear on is the fact that you were pursuing other skills that someone else didn't have the opportunity to do, and they may see a pain of, I've become really good at videography, or I've become really good at photography, or something creative, but I've lost the ability to develop, whereas my friend Sam has really pushed in those areas and become an entrepreneur, developed in this area and so on. So I mean, I'm not trying to make you feel good. What I'm making, because I have similar pain, and I have to go through that thing of, well, you know what, I have been spending this time doing something else, so let me try not to compare myself too much.
Okay, so on that note, is that how you stop yourself from resenting yourself for not maintaining something? Because again, if I think back to other friends, when they talk about the gym and they haven't maintained it, they're very critical of themselves. Yeah. Like, this is what I used to be able to do, and look at me now. And I think back to one time when I was really looking after my health. I was able to run like 5 kilometers, and then over lockdown I didn't run whatsoever. And then I went on a run and I barely managed 1 kilometer. Okay. And I was in a foul mood for like a whole weekend. Like, it took over my mind, and it did not motivate me to get back out and run. It immediately I just went like, no, like, you let this happen and you're going to simmer in this. I don't know why. It was lockdown as well. But I've never seen you get angry at yourself for not maintaining something. You go through your peaks and troughs at the gym, and if we just focus on that, right? If you find yourself not performing at the level that you once did, what's that conversation like in your head? Okay, so I absolutely do have a go at myself. Do you? Okay. Yeah, I'll be honest. You don't show it. So I'll absolutely have a go with myself, but I think it's very short. So I don't know, say I was able to do 60 burpees in a minute. That was obviously way out, but there was a point when I was able to smash out burpees like there was no tomorrow. And it's because I was doing it regularly. We're doing it every other day at the gym and so on. And it may not seem like a great thing, but it was being able to do something so consistently that other people aren't able to do that easily made me feel like, okay, this is actually going somewhere. I'm actually progressing. But what I do is I have that quick conversation with myself that gives me enough drive, but I know how quickly I'm able to get back to that point if I get back to consistency. So I say, okay, I can't run a mile or a kilometer. Is that what you said? A mile or a kilometer? 5 kilometers. 5 kilometers, sorry. I wasn't able to run 5 kilometers, but I know that, okay, I'm not going to be able to do that immediately. But if I put some consistency, I'll get in there a lot quicker because I've been there before. And that's really important, to make sure you just compare yourself to yourself or your previous self and not other people. Because, okay, so let's go back to the creative thing, and you may say, look at these creative people, they're so far ahead. That will make you feel like crap. That will make you feel awful, because there is no chance. Look at the hours that they've put in to get there. But what you can do is say, okay, let me at least refine my skills to get back to where I was, and then progress slowly from there and keep tapping along. Because who are you to say, oh, I should be where they are, when you haven't put in that work all that time? So you shouldn't even give yourself the opportunity to be annoyed with yourself. Okay. I think you've just contextualized something that I went through recently. Okay. Which, in a way, I justified it in my head as optimizing for enjoyment, whereas what you've just said is the like bounce back ability almost. The example that I have is that I'm really into sim racing. Excuse me. And I was watching tutorials. I was looking at other people. The best way to get involved in this is just to get involved in the community. Sure. And by that, I mean, watch YouTube videos, leave comments. If you think comments are for schmucks, Don't. Leave a comment. It will start conversations with people.
Yeah.
Join Discord channels and stuff like that. What that does is it puts you in a room full of people that are way more talented than you are, way more skilled at this than you are. And whenever I would compare lap times with these people or compare my performance to theirs, they were just so much better. And I was like, but I am putting in the work. I'm putting in the work. I'm spending an hour a day on this, and I'm only incrementally, slowly getting better and better and better. But come on, as I'm getting incrementally better, they're getting incrementally better. So it's just like this endless goose chase. But the one thing that I did was I stopped comparing myself to them, and I stopped trying to compete at their level. And what I started to do was enter competitions at my own level.
Okay. People
who had been practicing for around my amount of time.
Sure.
And I started at the back of the field. I started competing in the midfield, and I even won a race. I lost my mind. And the reason why I say I justified it as optimizing for enjoyment is because getting behind the wheel the next day was so much easier. I was so excited to get going again. And so either way, when I zoomed out, I had improved.
Okay.
But I noticed I'd improved when I was enjoying it by way more.
Yeah.
Because suddenly when I'm wanting to practice for an hour a day, at the end of the hour, I'm like, I'm having so much fun. Let's do an extra 20 minutes. And by the end of the week, that's an extra hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So it all adds up. So I justified it in my head as optimizing for enjoyment. But actually what you said there is a lot more interesting. Maybe it wasn't the fact that I was optimizing for enjoyment. Maybe it was the fact that I was competing at a much more reasonable level. I think the most reasonable level is yourself.
Yeah.
To compete with yourself. So thank you.
Yeah.
For that.
That's absolutely. I mean, I have to go through that regularly where, we all see it. You go on LinkedIn and you see other people's successes. You go on Instagram, you see other people's successes, what they're going through, personal work, whatever they're doing. And when successes is also subjective, right? What is a success? What is good? What is bad? But when you start to see these things, it's so easy to fall into that trap of comparing yourself. Why have I not hit this goal in my personal relationships at this point? Why is everyone else around me getting married or having kids or whatever? Why is everyone progressing in their job? Why are their businesses worth so much? Whatever it may be. And it's like, no, hold on a second. Look at you. Look at what you were back when you were 18.
So that container that was supposed to arrive at 6 o'clock has just arrived. So I don't know if we're going to be able to continue the rest of this podcast episode. So I'm recording this segment to end the episode in case. Oh no, Ash is coming back. We might be able to. I don't know, man. Who knows what's going on? Oh yeah, because I thought 6 o'clock. We don't have a team, but it's 3 and the team's still here. Is that it? Is that the container?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I can't think of any other containers. So
okay, cool.
That helps us out.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. A bad and a good.
A bad and a good. Emotional rollercoaster.
Look, I was making some point, probably blabbering on, but
I actually
try and edit that.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I didn't know. I thought it was 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so I thought we would have to go deal with it. So I signed off the episode.
Oh.
But we're back now.
We're back. But no, sign it off. Yeah. Sign away.
No, you sign off episode.
All right.
I don't sign off episode. I don't know what to do.
You thought it was 6 o'clock now? Or?
No, listen. So I forgot that our team's still here.
Yeah.
So I was like,
we've got to go sort this out.
Yeah, because in my head, it's you and me unloading the container. So I didn't think it was 6 o'clock. Ram's still here.
Yeah. But just a lot of thoughts went through your mind. Yeah.
So.
Well, this is bang on timing.
Actually, we've got a meeting in 15.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got a team ready to unload that container. But thanks, Ram. Perfect. So, yeah. We're good, and I don't know why we're talking. Because
because
but yeah, thank you for listening to episode 27. We spoke about quite a few things. Sorry if we veered off on a tangent a little bit. But if you liked anything we spoke about, you want to hear more, or you just want to have a chat, comment below, subscribe, do what you got to do, and see you next time.
Buy the 571 banana slicer.
Yes.